Hey, quick question before we start. If someone asked you right now, what's actually different between an MCP server and a REST API, could you answer in one sentence? Most developers can't. And honestly, most of the articles online get it wrong too, because they're describing how MCP worked 6 months ago, not how it works today. In this video, we're cutting through that. We'll cover what each one actually is, the real architectural difference, the thing that changed just last month that most explainers haven't caught up to yet, and most importantly, when you should reach for which one. This isn't MCP good, REST bad. It's sharper than that. Let's get into it. Let's ground this quickly because you need both pictures in your head before the comparison makes sense. A REST API is the classic model. You've done this 1,000 times. There's a URL, there's an HTTP verb, get/API/v1/customers/123. A developer, a human, read some documentation, figured out that endpoint exists, wrote code that calls it, and handles whatever comes back. Nothing happens unless a person already knew the shape of that API ahead of time. MCP flips that. If you watched my How MCP Actually Works video, you already know this three-layer picture: host, client, server. But here's the part that matters for today. When an agent connects to an MCP server, it doesn't need to be told what's available. The server announces its own capabilities. The agent discovers the tools at runtime, live, in the moment, instead of a developer hard-coding them in 6 months ago. That single difference, discovery versus documentation, is where everything else in this video comes from. So here's the line I want you to take away from this whole video, if nothing else. REST serves developers, MCP serves agents. That's it. That's the whole disagreement boiled down. Play that forward and you get real practical consequences. If a REST API adds a new endpoint or changes a parameter, what has to happen? Someone updates the docs, and then a developer, a human, has to go read those docs and rewrite their integration code. That's the loop. Docs change, human notices, human rewrites code. With MCP, that loop mostly disappears. If an MCP server adds a new tool tomorrow, the agent just asks. Next time it connects, it sees the new capability and can use it. No one had to rewrite anything on the consuming side. That's not a small implementation detail. That's the entire reason MCP exists as a separate thing from REST at all. Okay, this is the part I actually want you to walk away remembering because it's where most MCP versus REST content online is just out of date. First, the stateless thing. For the longest time, the standard comparison was REST is stateless, MCP is stateful. That's the trade-off. If you watched my video on the July spec update, you already know this changed. As of July 28th, 2026, MCP rebuilt its protocol core to be stateless too. No more long-lived sessions, no more persistent handshake baked into the architecture. So if you read an article that leads with MCP keeps state, REST doesn't, that's stale. Second, the integration math. And this one hasn't changed. It's just worth repeating because it's the real business case. Before MCP, if you had 10 AI applications and 100 tools they each needed to talk to, you were potentially looking at 1,000 custom integrations. That's the N times M problem I did a whole video on. MCP turns that multiplication into addition. N plus M, build the server once, any agent can use it. So where does each one actually win? Let's be concrete. REST wins when you need high throughput. Think thousands of requests a second. When you need fine-grained control over exactly what happens on every call, or when the workflow is fixed and predictable and there's no agent reasoning involved at all. Most of the internet still runs on REST for exactly these reasons. It's not going anywhere. MCP wins when you need agent autonomy. The agent has to decide what to do, not just execute a script. When you want one integration to work across many different agents instead of just the one you built for, and when the available tools might change over time without you wanting to rewrite anything. But here's the thing almost nobody frames correctly. In most real production systems, this isn't an either-or choice. The agent talks to an MCP server, and that MCP server underneath is usually just calling your existing REST API. MCP doesn't replace REST, it sits on top of it and translates it into something an agent can reason about. If you take one framework out of this video, make it this question. Is the consumer a developer writing code or an agent reasoning at runtime? If it's a developer who's going to sit down, read documentation, and write deterministic code that calls a known endpoint, REST, every time. Simpler, faster, more predictable, better tooling. If it's an agent that has to figure out on its own which tool applies to the task in front of it, and that decision might be different every single time. That's MCP's job. And just to ground this in scale, REST still powers around 83% of public APIs out there, so this isn't some REST is dead video. But MCP has over 5,000 community built servers already. The SDKs have crossed 1 billion downloads combined. And the whole point of the protocol, remember, is turning that N times M integration nightmare into N plus M. Two different tools, two different jobs, and now you know exactly how to pick. So here's the takeaway one more time, nice and simple. REST built the web, and MCP is teaching AI how to actually use it, not replacing it, extending it. If this connected some dots for you, this is actually part of a bigger series I'm building on this channel. I've covered how MCP works under the hood, the architecture rebuild from the July spec, the best MCP servers to actually install, MCP apps, and MCP auth and security. Go check those out if you want the fuller picture. Subscribe if you want to keep up as this space moves. And honestly, in 2026, it moves fast. I'll see you in the next one.